To absorb dietary fats, the human body must first break them down into smaller, manageable droplets. This process, known as emulsification, relies entirely on a biological detergent called bile salts. In this video, we see a slow, continuous drip of that viscous green fluid, forced to interface with sudden, intermittent bursts of fat droplets. This creates an immediate anatomical timing problem. The cells of the liver act as continuous fluid factories, producing bile 24 hours a day, regardless of whether you are actually eating. The gastrointestinal tract, however, operates intermittently. It only requires this bile during the specific narrow window immediately following a meal. To resolve this severe mismatch in timing, the body relies on a specialized network of plumbing to capture the liver's continuous output, store it, and deploy it precisely when a meal arrives in the gut. We call this routing network the biliary tree. It operates strictly according to the rules of fluid mechanics, governed entirely by the physical interplay of pressure gradients, pipelines, and muscular valves. Because it is a closed physical circuit, any localized mechanical blockage within these tubes forces a drastic, immediate alteration of fluid pressures upstream. By mapping exactly how these fluid pathways are laid out, a practitioner can trace a patient's downstream clinical symptoms to deduce the exact physical location of an internal obstruction. There is no need to blindly memorize a list of biliary symptoms. Every clinical presentation in this system is the direct, logical result of an anatomical choke point. This architectural blueprint shows the upper biliary tree, beginning with the synthesis of bile inside the liver. Here, hepatic tissue produces a fluid rich in bile salts, alongside red blood cell breakdown products like bilirubin and biliverdin. As it's synthesized, the glowing green fluid collects into a microscopic network of branches called bile canaliculi. Pushed downward, these canaliculi converge into two main transport lines, the right and left hepatic ducts, exiting their respective halves of the liver. These branches merge into a single central pipeline, known as the common hepatic duct. Between meals, the muscular valves at the very bottom of the biliary tree remain clamped tightly shut, halting the downward flow of the fluid. Because the liver continues producing fluid from above, back pressure quickly builds in the main line. This forces the bile to detour sideways into an offshoot passage called the cystic duct, pooling into a highly expandable sac. This is the gallbladder. It is not a production center, but strictly a blind pouch designed to hold backed up bile until internal pressure gradients change. The physiological trigger that finally shifts those pressures is the arrival of dietary fats into the duodenum, the first section of the small intestine. The presence of fat causes the gut to release a highly specific signaling hormone called cholecystokinin, or CCK. CCK acts directly on the muscular walls of the gallbladder, stimulating the pouch to violently contract and forcing the stored green fluid back out through the cystic duct. The ejected bile merges back into the main line, traveling downward through the widest part of the central pipeline, the common bile duct. At its very base, this duct converges with a parallel tube from the pancreas. This shared terminal junction is the hepatopancreatic ampulla, commonly known as the ampulla of Vater. Simultaneously, CCK relaxes the terminal valve here, the sphincter of Oddi, allowing the highly pressurized bile to finally spray into the duodenum. Once deployed, the bile salts successfully emulsify the dietary fats, traveling the entire length of the small intestine down to the final segment, the ileum. At the ileum, the body reabsorbs these bile salts through the intestinal walls and back into the bloodstream. The blood carries these recycled salts directly back to the liver, where they are immediately extracted and prepared for reuse. The biliary tree operates as a highly efficient, closed-loop enterohepatic circulation pathway, constantly recycling its biological detergents to prevent waste. With the map established, we can test the system's mechanical limits by introducing solid gallstones into the pipelines to see how the fluid dynamics fail. We will place our first hypothetical obstruction directly inside the lateral offshoot, the cystic duct. Notice how the green fluid from the liver simply bypasses the blocked side channel. Because the main line is clear, hepatic bile travels unobstructed through the common hepatic duct straight down to the gut. Forward flow is preserved. The mechanical complication only occurs after eating. When a meal triggers the release of CCK, the gallbladder aggressively contracts, trying to squeeze fluid through a pipe that is now completely walled off. This intense wave-like muscular contraction against a fixed physical blockage translates clinically into biliary colic, severe cramping abdominal pain that arrives strictly after a meal. Over time, the trapped static bile inside the blocked gallbladder causes severe chemical and mechanical irritation to the pouch lining, creating the inflammatory condition cholecystitis. Because the cystic duct is a lateral offshoot, a physical blockage isolates the pathology entirely to the gallbladder. Systemic hepatic function remains completely intact. Now, we relocate the physical obstruction further down the tree, sliding the stone directly into the common bile duct. The anatomical consequence is immediate. Continuous flow from the liver and stored gallbladder reserves are effectively walled off, unable to reach the terminal exit. With the downward exit blocked, the continuous fluid output from the liver seeks the path of least resistance. It flows backward, filling the central pipes until severe pressure radiates retrogradely into the hepatic tissue itself. As intrahepatic pressure climbs to critical levels, biliary components, most notably the green-yellow pigment bilirubin, are forcefully pushed out of the liver, spilling into the bloodstream. This systemic spill of bilirubin directly causes clinical jaundice, immediately visible as the distinct yellowing of the patient's skin and the whites of their eyes. Below the blockage, the gut faces a severe starvation effect. Absolutely zero bile is reaching the duodenum. This creates a dual digestive failure. Without bile, the intestinal tract loses its mechanism to neutralize stomach acid and entirely loses the ability to emulsify dietary fats. The ingested fats simply pass through the GI tract completely undigested and unabsorbed, resulting in the classic clinical presentation of pale, excessively greasy stools. A common bile duct blockage converts localized plumbing issues into a two-front systemic failure: toxic retrograde pressure destroying the liver above, and digestive starvation below. Finally, we push the obstruction to the absolute bottom of the biliary tree, lodging it exactly at the ampulla of Vater. This final choke point represents shared anatomy. It's exactly where the biliary fluid and digestive juices from the pancreas converge to share a single exit. For the biliary system, the outcome is identical to our previous test. The fluid backs up, resulting in severe jaundice and biliary colic. But the shared anatomy introduces a new, critical complication. Highly potent digestive enzymes produced by the pancreas are now physically trapped inside the organ itself. Unable to escape into the gut, these caustic enzymes activate early and begin aggressively digesting the surrounding pancreatic tissue, triggering severe, life-threatening pancreatitis. Sharing a single exit, a mechanical stone at the ampulla ceases to be just an isolated biliary problem. It immediately causes catastrophic cross-organ collateral damage. This side-by-side view summarizes the direct correlation between the precise geography of an obstruction and the resulting clinical reality. Lateral blockages in the cystic duct isolate the pressure to the blind pouch, triggering gallbladder-specific pathology. Mainline blockages in the common duct force fluid backward into the blood, while simultaneously starving the gut. Terminal blockages at the ampulla trap highly caustic fluids from adjacent organs, physically destroying the pancreas. Attempting to memorize disjointed lists of symptoms for nursing exams or clinical rotations is highly prone to error because isolated symptoms overlap. By treating the biliary tree as a logical network of fluid mechanics and pressure gradients, practitioners can effortlessly derive complex clinical diagnoses directly from first principles.